Science shouldn't feel like a closed door. Welcome to Human Verified, your backstage pass to the world of high stakes research and the business of staying alive. My name is Gina Winchester, a Native American scientist, professor, author, and I've created this space where we swap dense academic jargon for fresh, no nonsense insights. Whether I'm deconstructing pharmaceutical breakthroughs, clinical trials, or the how this is legal side of STEM business, I'm here to bridge the gap between the lab bench and your daily life. It's rigorous research met with real world storytelling because understanding how science works is the ultimate power move. World Cup 2026 Euphoria is breaking stereotypes. Citizens are not their governments. Something entirely unexpected has unfolded during this World Cup. The world is discovering a profound disconnection between the international media's portrayal of the U.S. and the reality of life on the ground. People from every corner of the globe are realizing that Americans are not defined by the rhetoric often seen in the 24-hour news cycle. And it's not just the U.S. Mexico has made a splash on the world stage as well. This shift in perception has been driven largely by the World Cup itself, as Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. joined forces to host this year's matches. The spotlight turned towards North America. While the U.S.'s massive stadiums hosted the majority of the games, with 3 cities in Mexico and 2 in Canada welcoming the rest, the impact reached far beyond the scoreboards. It turns out the true glory of the 2026 World Cup has been happening off the pitch. In the streets and local neighborhoods, real stories of real people are being told. Because fans were encouraged to visit locations across the U.S. and Mexico that are not the typical tourist path, international social media has been flooded with content from creators who are genuinely blown away by their experiences. A common phrase among them has been, "Our country lied to us." It reflects the powerful impact of real people meeting face to face. Political agendas and divisive messaging struggle to persist when individuals are simply connecting and enjoying themselves. This highlights one of the most remarkable benefits of social media. Despite its flaws, it facilitates authentic connections that the 24-hour news cycle often overlooks. I propose that this phenomenon represents much more than just the unifying power of sport. The World Cup has served as a primary catalyst for dismantling stereotypes, creating shared experiences, and bringing people together through collective joy and vulnerability. Visitors and locals alike are sharing stories of hospitality and generosity that are fundamentally changing perceptions of the Americas. This wasn't the result of a grand, orchestrated plan. Rather, it was the simple, mundane experiences of daily life that built the strongest bridges between cultures. So let's take a look at some of the neuropsychological concepts that can explain the fury of this euphoric, cross-cultural phenomenon. It's more than just a game. The heartwarming bonds formed between local hosts and international supporters across the U.S. and Mexico provide a profound real-world case study of how the human brain dismantles and rewrites social boundaries under the right conditions. This didn't happen in Canada, but I'll get into that later. Many international tourists arrived in our country expecting a tense, fractured nation shaped by negative media portrayals. Instead, they encountered welcoming locals who shattered these hostile perceptions. Simple, friendly gestures, like a resident explaining free beverage refills or offering directions, instantly changed their perspectives. This pleasant surprise triggers a flood of dopamine in the brain, prompting an immediate update of outdated negative biases. Because these welcoming interactions occur face to face, our internal threat detection mechanisms naturally disarm. Visitors stop viewing Americans through a detached political lens and begin to see them as safe, relatable, everyday individuals, effectively neutralizing lingering anxieties. This mutual cultural exchange thrives during spectacles like the World Cup. For instance, when travel complications reduce a foreign squad's support, American spectators frequently step in to cheer for them. Psychologically, this inclusive behavior expands our internal definition of community. By donning another country's jersey, fans prompt their brains to mirror the athlete's physical trials and emotional investments. This straightforward expression of empathy deconstructs the conventional us versus them mentality, making the triumphs and setbacks of a foreign team feel deeply personal while fostering an authentic global bond. A great example is the love Korean and Mexican fans had when getting to know each other. Some neuropsych stuff. Ultimately, these vibrant public assemblies spark a collective emotional high that sociologists call collective effervescence. Cheering in unison through the streets unleashes a powerful surge of bonding hormones and natural pain relievers among participants. When fans from all over the world pack into stadiums to watch the 2026 World Cup, they aren't just enjoying a game together. Their brains are actively rewiring to connect. Neuroscience reveals that when big crowds focus intently on a shared nail-biting moment like a tense penalty kick, their brain waves literally sync up. This automatic connection aligns different minds on the same wavelength, transcending language barriers and cultural differences. Before you even decide to interact, your brain has already formed a powerful, unspoken synchrony with the stranger standing beside you. The crowd's electric energy triggers a monumental chemical reaction. Thousands of people singing anthems or going tarts off releases a rush of endorphins, giving that natural high. At the same time, the undeniable excitement releases oxytocin, the primary bonding hormone. Together, these chemicals quiet the brain's fear center, wiping out social anxiety and the us versus them mindset that usually divides nationalities. When fans from different countries instinctively hug after an incredible play, it's because this chemical flood is telling them they belong. The brain's mirror neurons seal this profound unity. These specialized cells ensure we physically feel what we observe. When a player stumbles or misses a wide-open net, these neurons fire inside the fans as if they were the ones making the play. A victory triggers testosterone spikes and pure euphoria, while a loss mimics the physical pain of deep social rejection. During major global events, this shared intensity creates a mega identity. The resulting joy becomes so overpowering that fans embrace strangers from other nations. Their reward systems now view everyone as partners in a shared historical experience. Because of this, an American fan watching a Mexican striker miss a goal in a game that the U.S. isn't even playing in doesn't just affect the logical mind. They vicariously feel that exact emotional spike of disappointment. Experiencing this intense, real-time agony and triumph at the exact same millisecond as the person sitting next to them shatters geopolitical borders, turning raw empathy into a universal language everyone immediately understands. And it just feels natural. We all strive to stand out as individuals while belonging to a larger group, and the World Cup satisfies both needs. Fans wear national jerseys to display their unique heritage, yet they immediately blend into a global community once they enter the stadium. This balance of uniqueness and connection allows the brain to process a team's success as a personal victory, generating an intense emotional high. And it doesn't matter if it's your team, but it's so much better when it is. You don't even need to attend a game to experience this unity. Seeing your own people bond with outsiders drastically reduces cultural anxiety. As people scroll through social media and watch fans sharing food and laughter in parking lots, they actively rewrite their cultural assumptions. Even ranch dressing has become an international phenomenon. Who knew? Brain scans reveal that when we share a common passion, brain activity shifts directly to the region that processes personal meaning and identity. The tournament literally shrinks the neural distance between people, rewiring our hardware to view former strangers not as them, but as us. It's all about those epic stadiums. The unique environment of the 2026 World Cup offers a perfect real-world laboratory for these psychological phenomena. When you combine the impressive scale of the North American megastadiums with the deep emotional stakes of a beloved global game, you can't deny the effect it has on us all. Inside these ginormous stadiums, everyday societal rules and hierarchies vanish completely. Corporate executives and migrant workers become equals as they stand shoulder to shoulder, donning the same colors and shouting at the same referee. While interacting with people outside one's usual social circle typically triggers a flash of anxiety, this safe, celebratory atmosphere of a major game changes everything. Being swallowed up in a roaring crowd of 80,000 people also fundamentally changes your brain chemistry. That part of your brain that worries about looking cringe temporarily shuts down. Without that self-consciousness, you easily absorb the dominant emotional energy of the crowd. When thousands chant or sing in perfect unison, heart rates, breathing patterns, and brain waves change. The deep breathing required for group singing calms the nervous system, while the stadium's deafening volume drowns out analytical thinking. This creates an intense high and a deep sense of intimacy, transforming tens of thousands of strangers into a single unified organism. Even the frustrating logistics of a multinational event created bonds. While these hurdles might seem like a recipe for anger, they actually accelerate connection through coordinated problem solving. As fans from around the world navigate confusing highway loops or complex flight schedules together, their brains frame the environment as a shared challenge. They ask for directions, share rides, and rely on one another long before the game begins. By the time they walk through the stadium gates, these shared struggles have already metamorphosized into a powerful sense of collective triumph. And yeah, the world is discovering that real-life American spirit. Mexico provided an incredible experience, but the U.S. truly surprised the world. Our unique cultural fabric fosters connection, balancing a deep respect for personal independence with a wildly outgoing, casual social style. Although independence and sociability often seem contradictory, they combine here to dissolve the social anxieties international fans typically face when visiting a new country. We strike up connections easily. While many cultures feature fixed, deep social circles that challenge outsiders, American relationships remain fluid, making casual interactions with strangers the norm. Proactive friendliness greets international fans in elevators, checkout lines, and stadium walkways. While entering a new country can be stressful, the predictable, low-stakes warmth of U.S. small talk signals safety to the visitor's brain, instantly lowering their defenses. We recognize that class distinctions are illusions and that everyone deserves an opportunity for connection. We abandon formal hierarchies, titles, and strict etiquette in favor of casual first-name interactions. When a wealthy executive tailgating before a game offers a cold drink to a working-class fan from overseas, the rigid social rules of the visitor's home culture dissolve. We don't wait for formal introductions to include someone in a conversation, and this approach quickly elevates foreign visitors from outsiders to immediate companions. The classic American tradition of tailgating, gathering in parking lots for food, music, and games, amplifies this welcoming vibe. The roar of the trucks, the scent of the burgers on a makeshift grill, and the booming music trigger a rush of curiosity and dopamine. When we invest so much effort into these setups, only to invite passing international fans to join them for free, it sparks an instinctive urge to reciprocate kindness. This generosity facilitates an eager exchange of team scarves, pins, and stories, bringing people together in unity from across the globe. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. When you look at everything it takes to throw a tri-national tournament, you realize pretty quickly how messy it can get behind the scenes. From the very beginning, there was a huge contrast between the heavy corporate reality of planning the matches and the pure, unfiltered joy of the people actually living it. Sure, the news was full of infuriating headlines. No one knew what ICE was going to do, and the stress was very real. But the second the fans got together, none of that dampened our spirits. The logistical headaches started popping up everywhere, testing everyone's patience. In places like Mexico City and Monterrey, subway lines faced major delays and highways were visibly unfinished when the tournament kicked off because of funding issues. Even the weather threw a curveball, with extreme heat forcing mandatory water breaks for the players. But instead of letting everyone catch their breath, TV broadcasters used the safety break to jam in extra commercials, which upset fans for changing the natural rhythm of the game. But as I finish editing this right now, England just beat Norway in the oppressive 115 degree Fahrenheit, 46 degrees Celsius heat of Miami, Florida. Some may think that's a fluke, but for us in Florida, that's just July. So it's no surprise that the players needed those water breaks despite the disruption in flow. Fans want their rhythm, but players are real people with real bodies, and they need to be protected as well. They are humans, and water is life. We can't reduce them to just bots there for our entertainment. And if you look behind the scenes of any major event, you'll always find some drama and questionable politics. The World Cup was no exception. We dealt with everything from serious labor rights scandals in Mexico City Stadium to some genuinely baffling referee decisions that left fans and coaches outraged. And don't even get me started on the Trump curse nobody wanted. Talk about throwing off the rhythm. Even when a controversial video replay broke the hearts of Iranian fans by wiping away a last-second goal, or when Ghana's coach bitterly joked that the refs must have gone missing for a coffee break, the energy in the stands never skipped a beat. The euphoria couldn't be stopped. Yes, Canada rejected over half the fans who tried to get visas, but that didn't crush the human spirit of the tournament. The politics of it all was ridiculous. It was incredibly easy for fans from wealthier countries to cruise right in, while Canada brutally shut down over 2/3 of visa applications from places like India, Ghana, Uganda, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. But the fans who showed up showed out, like the baddies they are. This red tape basically put a wall around Canadian host cities and kept them from getting the same wild, packed, mix of every culture vibe that took over the streets and parking lots of the US and Mexico. But even with the stands missing so many of their most passionate international supporters, the fans who actually managed to make it through the gates refused to let the obvious xenophobia ruin the party. They brought twice the energy to make up for the empty seats, turning what could have been a sterile environment into a defiant celebration of pure elation. The collective roar of the crowd still echoed through the stadiums, proving that while a government can block a passport, it can't stop the infectious magic of the game they love. When the final whistle blows and the crowds are heading home, we have to look at what happens next. The beauty of this tournament didn't come from glossy travel brochures or expensive marketing campaigns. It happened because everyday people wandered off the beaten path and hung out in normal local neighborhoods. Even with dealing with long lines, crazy traffic, and ridiculous stadium crowds, the pure euphoria melted away the stress. To keep this good vibe alive, we need to skip the tourist traps and keep inviting strangers into our local spots. Content creators from all over the world did an amazing job showing what life here is really like, proving that the scary stories on the news are misleading or outright lying. We need to keep sharing these real human verified moments online so the friendships we made don't just fade once the games are over. At the end of the day, this whole experience showed us that regular people don't care about the political drama between their governments. When you're sharing a plate of slow smoked Texas brisket in a crowded bar, or trying to navigate a confusing subway line with someone from another country you were told to dislike, all that old media brainwashing disappears. Your brain stops seeing a political stereotype and just sees a new friend. That feeling doesn't just vanish when you go back to normal life. It changes you for good. Regular people showed the world what real unconditional hospitality looks like, completely shattering decades of old assumptions. The future of how countries view each other won't be decided by politicians in complicated summits, but by the real, messy, beautiful bonds forged by ordinary people laughing together in stadiums and city streets. Thank you for spending this time with me today.